This is the fourth and hopefully last video that will cover the review for exam 2. We're gonna move on and continue with problem 17. So in this case, we're gonna follow the order of operations. So we're gonna do what's inside this parentheses first, which is subtraction, or we could say as combining two negative numbers. So we know we're gonna add them and keep them negative. But before we can do that, we need to have a common denominator. So this negative 3 over 2 will have to be multiplied by 2 over 2 because my common denominator is going to be 4. And it is 4 because 2 can divide 4. So that's where we are right now. And then let's not forget that we're going to be multiplying at the end by 2/3. So from here, we could change this fraction, multiply by 2 over 2. So this will give me negative 6 over 4. And we have here negative 3/4 and times 2/3. So in this case, we have now the same denominator, so we can combine these two numbers. Remember, they're both negative, so this will be negative 9 over 4 times 2/3. So from here, we multiply straight across, and we're going to get negative 18 over 12. Of course, we can simplify this. Both numbers are divisible by 6. 8 and negative 18 divided by 6 is negative 3, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. And so that is the final answer for problem number 17. Now for problem 18, we're not going to do what I try to do in class because I still don't know what I did wrong. So we're just going to do one part of the fraction at a time. So this 2, remember, it has a 1 as the denominator. So if I want him to have 4 for the denominator, this is the top of my fraction. I know that this 2 will have to be multiplied by 4 over 4. So then we will get 8, because we're multiplying straight across. We will get 8 over 4. Now the next fraction is just 1 over 4. We're not changing anything to it. And when we add those two fractions, we're just going to get 9 divided by 4. That's the top part of my fraction. Now let's move on to the bottom, this part. And we have a 1, and this 1 has for the denominator a 1. But we want them both to have an 8. And so what I'm going to do is multiply by 8 over 8. And that will give me 8 over 8. And then the second fraction will just be minus 1 over 8. Now they both have the same denominator, so this will be 7 divided by 8. And now from here, we could use what I call the sandwich rule. So we're going to multiply the two numbers that are on the outside. So 9 times 8, that would give me 72. And then 4 times 7, and that will give me 28. And that will be the answer for that problem. Actually, we could reduce it a little bit further, and it will give us 18 divided by 7 if you were to divide 72 by 4 and 28 by 4. So now moving on to problem 19. It says, Elena rode her bicycle 2 7/8 of a mile on each of 5 days. What is the total distance that she rode? And so the total will be what she rode during the 5 days. And for each day, she was riding this much. And so what we're going to do is multiply 2 7/8 times 5. So what we're going to do first is convert this this mixed fraction into improper. So it's going to be 2 times 8, that is 16. And then we add 7. And that will give us 23 over 8. And we have this times 5 over 1. And so here, if we multiply 23 times 5, we're going to get 115. And 8 over 1 is just 8. And so that's what we get. Now, if we were to divide and convert into a mixed fraction, we will get something like 11 and 5/8. Okay. This does not seem like it is correct. So let's just leave it as improper. Okay, in fact, it's not 11. It will be 14 and 3/8. I'm going to check quickly to see if it's true. So if we divide 115 divided by 8, it will give us 14, yes. And the remainder will be 3. So yes, this is the correct answer. This one here. And that would be the total distance. So 14 miles and 3/8 of a mile. Now let's go for our last problem, number 20. So a recipe calls for 1 2/3 pounds of ham. How much ham should be used if only half of the recipe is being made? So we are going to have our fraction 1 2/3 divided by 2. Or the same thing, 1 2/3 multiplied by 1/2, because we just want half of that. So if we convert this fraction into improper, it will be 1 times 3, that's 3, plus 2, that will be 5, so 5/3. 5/3 divided by 2, or we may say 5/3 times the reciprocal of 2. So remember, we flip the numbers, so 1 over 2. And then from here, we can multiply straight across, like that. So that would be 5 over 6. And that is the answer. Now, the units were pounds of ham. So here we could say 5/6 of a pound, or 5/6 pound. So this concludes the video number 4, Exam 2 review. Thank you for watching.